Hello, hello. I hope. Whoops. Here we go. Hi. Hello, everyone. I hope you can all see and hear me. Everything working smoothly. Audio is fine for now. And yeah, welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing good, having a great day so far. This stream is about song mode, but I first wanted to take the opportunity before we get into the techie side of things and into the synthesizer side of things, to say actually huge thanks for or to all of you for the reception to my last video, because my last video wasn't an easy one. I was really struggling. Should I put it out there? Should I not put it out there? What should I do about the social media topic? Is this even something that is worth doing and for you worth watching? And I decided to do it, and it was absolutely the right decision. It was a great stream. Sorry, not stream. It was a great video. The feedback was amazing, and I was feeling at the same time very relieved to not be alone with the issue that social media causes for many artists. But at the same time, I was quite shocked about how artists struggle with social media and how many there actually are that have issues with the topic of always being on, always being under pressure by putting constantly stuff out there. And yeah, that was something that was quite shocking to read. So just want to quickly mention that. Thank you so much for the feedback. It honestly means a lot, because it hasn't been an easy subject. And to all of you out there struggling with that, I feel you, I'm with you, and all the love from my side. But now let's get into song mode. Is this even working? Sorry, I need to switch windows from time to time to see if I'm on the right camera selection, which I am right now, which is great. Song mode is here. Elektron finally released it. I know a lot of people have been requesting this feature, and there are a lot of people out there that really wanted to see song mode and that really wanted to use it. I have to say my initial impression was, okay, cool, song mode, because that's not like the most anticipated feature from my side, because if you know my jams, you know that I'm just queuing up stuff basically, and I'm quite fine with that approach, just queuing up pattern for pattern and that way structuring my jams. But when I got a little bit into it, I was actually quite surprised by how flexible it is and how actually straightforward it is to use, because the thing is, with song mode, I first thought it was just you lay out a track and then that's it, but there's way more behind it. And I already found out something that I really, really like about song mode, especially when using it with other Elektron gear, which is what this stream will mostly cover, because I've been using it together with the DIGITAKT and the Digitone. But the cool thing is that you only need, at least the way how I use it, song mode on one device. So you don't need to set up both devices. It works that the Digitone actually follows the DIGITAKT, which I'm showing you now. And but I also discovered already a big bummer for me, which is a big downside, and I want to tackle a little bit on that while we move on. But first, let's see who's actually here. Kvndra Mike says, hi Miles. Hello Mike, good to see you. Netzkante, hallo Miles. Hey Netzkante, good to see you. NEUMANN, hey Miles, mein Lieber, beste Grüße und hab viel Spaß mit dem Song Mode. Many thanks to you, and good to have you here. Great that you're here on the chat. Hi Mike, greetings from Cologne-Roggendorf. Oh nice, that's just around the corner. Hey, greetings go out to all my Cologne people, but also to all my California people. Altway, hi from California. Good to have you here, and hi to California, where it's now probably sometime in the morning around 11 or something. Hello all. Aging Sora, hello, good to see you. Reggae Rose says, one of the few to make a channel about improving workflow, not about pushing guests. Ciao from Roma. Many, many thanks. And you know, actually what's funny, I'm currently preparing a video that might be then for you on my 5 tips of how to avoid gas. And you could guess one of the tips is learn to use your gear, which is quite obvious, but I'm going to get a little bit more to that in more detail. But yeah, definitely. So thank you. I really try to do this with this channel because I don't want to push anyone to buy gear, but to make the best use of the gear that you have. Skyscan says, "Hi Miles from Colombia." Hello, hello. Greetings to Colombia. Hi all guys. Greets from. Sorry, on the flags on the chat. The flags are so small. Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, it's just really small. I can just see red and green and it looks a little bit like Portugal. And Outway says, yep, 11 a.m. here. Cool. Great that you're all here. So yeah, let's get into song mode. So actually what I have here and what you've been hearing in the intro is just a quick song that I made up of 2 patterns. So you can see here I have these 2 patterns, pattern 6 and pattern 14 on bank C. And I turned these 2 in a quick song, which is very basic. I'll just quickly show you. By the way, I hope that you by now know the general structure of song modes, how to activate it, how to deactivate it, how to move around, how to edit. If not, stop me anytime, ask any questions. Definitely no stupid questions. Feel free to ask basically anything. And this is the song mode that I came up with. So basically, just to quickly show you what's going on here, we have 2 times playing pattern C6, and then we have 2 times playing pattern C14. But all of those actually have a little bit different mute modes. The first one, you can see it here. So basically, when you go here into the pattern edit, you go here to this deactivated speaker sign, and then you hit yes, and then you can actually decide which mutes you will be using. And you can see here that on pattern 1, or on basically row 1, that's how they call it in song mode, all of the tracks are activated. Where, by the way, I have to say I'm using only tracks 1 to 5 on the DIGITAKT here, and tracks 9 to 13 on the, I think my mic is a little bit too quiet, turn it a little bit up. Here we go. Only using tracks, MIDI tracks A to E, while quick explanation what each track is. Track 1 is kick, track 2 is snare, track 3 is closed hi-hat, track 4 open hi-hat, track 5 is some fancy percussion sounds, which sounds like this. And then we have track number 9 is track 1 on the Digitone, which is bass. Track 10 and track 10 is an ARP. Track 2 on the Digitone. Track 11 is track 3 on the Digitone, which is a chord pad thing. And track 12 also like a chord pad key thing, whatever it is. And then we have actually track number 13, which is the MOOG Mother 32, which sits right here on the side. It's not in the screen. And yeah, the DIGITAKT is sending MIDI data to the MOOG Mother 32, not 37. And then the audio gets routed into the Digitone and then gets effects applied from there. And yeah, that's how the setup is. But now if we are going further, you can see here on track number C6, I only have 4 tracks activated. So in this pattern, only the tracks 1, 5, 9, and 13 should play, which is kick drum, bass, percussion, and the MOOG Mother 32. Then, by the way, already spoilering, there is an issue with that, which I'll show you when we run through the setup in the next step. Then we're actually changing patterns. So now there comes pattern C14, which is a little bit of a build-up pattern, like a transition pattern, how I called it in my other videos. And this one actually has activated the closed hi-hat, the percussion, and all the Digitone tracks plus the MOOG Mother 32. And then we have basically the whole kind of like transition pattern activated, where then also the closed hi-hat comes in and the snare drum. And for the intro, I just put this one here to stop. I don't know if you know this. If you now press, by the way, here on the end, whenever you have kind of like all your rows chained up, and then on the end, you can basically put here function and then toggle between stop or loop. Stop means that just the whole rows get played one time and then it stops. And if you set it to loop, then it's basically going to loop on and on and on. Looping is a good point, because you can also in song mode loop stuff, which I find super helpful. What does that mean? Basically, going quickly back to the editor mode, you can, when you're on a loop, when you're in a row and a row is playing, let's say for example I'm playing now and I want this row to be looped, I just go here and then hit loop, and then it says looping row number 1. So now it will just stay on that row until I deactivate the loop mode, and then it will continue. This is, I think, very helpful if you have a section where you say, okay, here I want to be a little bit more free, I want to improvise a little bit, I want to mute and unmute some stuff, and then you can basically get a little bit more flexible in terms of your creativity. But then it doesn't, of course, continue. Then if you want to return to your normal track structure, you can basically then just, like I said, it's looping, and then you go here, hit again loop, and now it says continuing song, and that means that the song now actually continues. You can see it here, and now it switches to row number 2. Row number 2 is an interesting one. We will get to that soon. But I first want to show you what I think is really cool about song mode is now I'm in pattern C6 and also on the Digitone. And I set these devices up in a way that the DIGITAKT via Midi is sending program changes to the Digitone. So basically that means that whenever a pattern changes here on the DIGITAKT, it also changes patterns on the Digitone. And when they introduced song mode, I was a little bit afraid, okay, will this still work? That I can basically change patterns on the DIGITAKT and then the Digitone will follow. I was a little bit afraid that due to the different settings they have then in the machine, it won't work, but quick spoiler alert, it will, which is great. So you can already see it. Pattern C6, here also pattern C6, and row number 3 now changes to pattern C14. Just let that happen. And you can see C14 on the DIGITAKT, and here C14 on the Digitone, which is really cool. Now the build-up continues. In the next pattern, you can now hear the open hi-hat and the snare coming back in. And now we're going back. So now we're back again at row number 1. And now here comes the big bummer, at least for me, and how I've been using these devices. You can see here on the DIGITAKT I'm in a global mute mode right now, which means that I can not only mute, let me just quickly show you what I mean by putting actually this row in loop mode. So basically that means I can, with this one, I can mute all of my tracks that I have here. So basically now only the kick from the DIGITAKT and the bass from the Digitone is playing, and now I can bring in tracks whenever I want to. So for example, these two here, now they are coming in, or here. Now the MOOG Mother 32 comes back. I can mute them immediately, can bring in the hi-hat, the percussion sound that I have, whatever it is basically. So for me it's it was always great to have all of that on one page, to do all my mutings basically, yeah, on the fly. The thing is, with these new mute settings that the song mode introduced, these are, like you can also see on the color, these are in pattern mute mode. This is not the global mute mode. And the big downside for me actually is that pattern mute mode is, with pattern mute mode, it is not possible to send pattern mutes to another device. So what does that mean? Basically, now let's quickly go back into the song mode, disable loop and start it. So you can see here, all is going well. All tracks, we quickly change to pattern mute mode. So everything is enabled, fine, as it should. And now we're coming to pattern, or to row number 2. And this is an interesting one. I'll quickly loop it for now so that we have it playing continuously. You could see all the tracks got muted and the hi-hat, open hi-hat and snare are not playing anymore. But you can still see, and you also see it here by the lights, that actually the tracks on the Digitone are still unmuted, but they should be muted. The thing is, it doesn't work in this mode. So I need to switch now back to global mute mode, this one, and mute the tracks here to have the effect that I'm looking for. For these tracks here, you can see it doesn't really matter in global mute mode because they are because they are muted in pattern mute mode. I can't unmute them here now. No matter what I press here, these are muted, which would be fine for me, because then I wouldn't really care and say, okay, these for this section of the song, these should be muted. With this one, it's different, because here I still need to do it in global mute mode. And that is actually for me a big downside. And I'm still figuring out, or trying to figure out, how I actually can do that and what would be a good approach for doing that. Because the thing is, the way I structure my songs, it's always with global mute mode, and it has always been. And for me, it was just very handy to use that. But now with this setup, I really need to think how to do it. If I even use the pattern mutes on the song mode, or if I just use song mode as a simple way to structure out my whole song and then still do the mutes in the global mode. But then for me, one of the coolest features of the song mode is actually gone, and that's at least for me a big downside. If any one of you lovely people watching know any solution for this, I'm super happy to hear that. I have been searching for a way to use pattern mute mode, here the purple one, also with or I have been researching if it's possible for pattern mute mode to send program changes or mutes to the Digitone, and it seems that it's not. So yeah, I'm assuming there unfortunately is no solution for that, and I need to find a workaround. But if you're someone that is just using the pattern mute mode, I think you will be fine, and this feature will actually be very, very helpful. Let's see who's writing there. Is it possible to change the mute channel on the live mute channel? I don't know what you actually mean. If you know if it's possible to still mute and unmute stuff live, yes, that is possible. That works. So I can still do that with this one. There it works. By the way, the MOOG Mother 32 works here because there is actually MIDI data on this MIDI track. So MIDI track E is actually containing the MIDI notes that the MOOG Mother 32 is playing. So if I now disable it here, of course there are no MIDI notes to play it, and you won't hear anything, which is very, very handy. These ones are set up differently. So these are actually just muting the Digitone's tracks, but the MIDI data is on the Digitone's tracks, if that makes any sense. I think it does. And now you could argue, okay, why not putting all the MIDI data, like the notes, on the DIGITAKT and have basically the Digitone just as a sound source? That would be an option to use it that way, but then you're again sacrificing one of the biggest features of the Digitone for me, which is the arpeggiator, because you can't still use arpeggiator on the MIDI tracks or other way, and the Digitakt doesn't even have an arpeggiator. So yeah, you can see either way you're sacrificing something, and I'm still not sure which way to go. I'm pretty sure I won't sacrifice the ARP for the song mode, so rather it will be just using the song mode for structuring out a song and still using mutes on the go. That's at least the solution for now. But I'm drifting away. Is it possible to change mute channel live? Yes, it still is. Either use the pattern mute mode, or you can also, of course, use the global mute mode, which in the end will then mute all tracks if you want, or just selected ones. Just keep in mind, if you already did mute them in the row with pattern mute mode, you can't unmute them in global mute mode. Like here with the snare and the hi-hat tracks, basically. And using Control All with song playing, does it return to default pattern? Using Control All with song playing. That's actually a good question. I never tried that. Let's try together maybe. Let me disable mute. And let's get back to, by the way, hitting stop twice will bring you back to the start of your song. Hitting stop just once will remain in the row that you're in. Also a good thing to keep in mind. And one thing I will do now is save it, because before I started this stream, I didn't even save that. So unmuting all the stuff, and let's go. And let's try to funk up some stuff here. Let's go here. Make it even more obvious. Okay, now everything is funked up. Okay. That's interesting. So you can already see we're still in pattern C6, just with another mute setting. You can still see that okay, now we changed pattern. There, everything is fine. And I assume now when we're getting back to row number 1, the changes will still be applied, because that would mean that the parameter changes are actually applied to the pattern and don't have to do anything with the song mode. Let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, still fucked up. Just reloaded it now. But yeah, I think that answers the question. So using Control All with song mode, you can return. I think you saw it. You can still return to the normal pattern by hitting Function and No. But I think in general, yeah, it will remain like that, which makes sense, because the parameter changes basically happen on a pattern level and not on a song mode level. Song mode is just to structure stuff. Matt Young writes, thanks for all the great stuff you produce. Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. And great to hear that you like the stuff that I'm doing. Nice one. By the way, another cool thing I wanted to show you is actually that you can queue songs, which is great for a live set. Let's say you have different jams here in your project and you want to play a live set with them, and you want to, you have your songs mapped out. So for example, if I go now here into the song mode, and then I go to menu, which is the up arrow, and then I go to load, you can see here, you can save up to 16 songs you can save in your project, which is great. And I just, because I just used it on this one, I just saved kind of like 2 songs. It's 2 times totally the same song. But for this one, I can show you because it doesn't really make a difference for the explanation. And now, if I have the first song playing, I can go in here, and then I can hit the down arrow and hit load. And then I can basically decide any of the other songs in here to load. Let's wait until the next row starts. And now I hit this one. And you can see here, like before with the pattern changes, now the song is queued up basically. And now, once this row is finished, we are now in song number 2, row number 1, which is exactly the same song like the first one, but I think you get the idea. This way you can change the songs, and of course when the sequencer is not playing, you can of course just go around and load different songs that you saved in your song mode, which I think also is pretty handy. One thing I would have loved to have, and I don't know if that exists, I think it would be cool to have the option to say, play the song till the very end of the song. Like for example, this song has 4 rows, and now if I would start to play this and queue up a song like the next song, I would love to say, okay, please only play the next song once the full rows of this song have been played. So once row number 4 on this song has been played, please switch to song number 2. Because right now, when I just let it play, like I showed you, and I load up the next one, immediately after the first row is played, it will now switch to song number 2, which I think is in some cases not ideal. Because what I would like to have is when you're playing live set or stuff like that, I think it's cool to, okay, I'm starting out a song and I already queue up the next song, because then I know I don't have to think about this anymore. So when I reached the end of my current song that is playing, what would happen is that the device would start looping again. So you would start again by row number 1. And if you don't want that and say, I definitely want to start on row number 1, but on the next song, at least I didn't find an option for that. Maybe you guys did. So if you have that, yeah, feel free to share it. But yeah, I think that's actually it from my side. The things that I discovered so far, the things that I really like about song mode, which is actually the pattern changing, so that one song mode here on the, I mean, you can see it here on the Digitone. I haven't even activated it. Song mode is switched off. But having the possibility to just use song mode on one device and send the changes to the Digitone and it will just follow along, I think this is great to have. But for the mutes that I was talking about, I think that's a big downside for me, because there I think it would be really nice to have the option to use the global mute mode for the mute section here in the edit here, but I think no, there's also no way here how you can change it. Feature request for Elektron, maybe. Yeah, let's see if that comes in. But yeah, that's actually it from my side. Sorry, I just need to block someone here in the chat. Okay, here we go again. Just some spam messages from adult bullshit stuff, so don't pay any attention. And of course, I mean, you're smart people, but don't click any links from that stuff. Yeah, that's song mode in a nutshell. I mean, there are tons of YouTubers out there that already did great videos about song mode, so I thought I would just share in this one, not a real tutorial like from scratch what song mode is, how it works. I think there are, like I said, great videos out there that you can figure out. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how I actually use it, and what I think it's good for and what I think it is not. Maybe for the end we can just play a quick little jam. I'm just trying something spontaneously. And yeah, hope you enjoy it and have a nice evening or day wherever you are. yeah, just a little jam. I was just about to end the stream actually, but I now see some more questions coming in, which is always great. I mean, I have time. If you have time, I'm here. No worries. Gary is asking, good evening. Is there a way to synchronize song mode between two devices? This is a nice groove. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. So basically, the way how I use it, or how I use song mode between two devices, is actually that, like I just explained, the DIGITAKT is sending pattern changes to the Digitone, which means that whatever pattern I'm changing on the DIGITAKT, actually, the Digitone will follow along. Now, I assume that your question is basically, is there a simpler way to set something up as going like now into the Digitone here, enabling song mode, copying basically the same patterns over, applying the same mutes as on the DIGITAKT, and then setting everything up in the same way. I actually don't think there is an easier way than just doing it on the basically one device by one device. But I think it would be a cool way to have kind of like a way to transport the data, maybe via Midi, over, and then use kind of like the same settings on the Digitone. But as far as I know, that's not possible. Silvio saying, just want to ask the same question. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I would assume for now, without having really tried it, I would say the easiest way is either to just set everything up on both devices like you need it, or to have one device in song mode and then sending all the changes to the other device. I just came to the idea that that might also maybe change the issue that I had for the MIDI tracks, basically, so that I can say, okay, I want these two tracks, like which reflect, you can see here, my Digi mutes. I want them to be done in song mode. A solution for that could actually be to set up song mode on the Digitone and then do the mutes directly on the Digitone. That could be a cool option. But yeah, that's actually a good idea. I need to figure that out. Yeah, but yeah, as you can see, I'm still struggling. On the one side, I definitely see the advantages. On the other side, I also see that it still has some downsides, at least for me, and how I use the devices. Yeah, let's see who else is there. So long youth writes, so MIDI out from DIGITAKT to Digitone, MIDI through to MIDI in of Mother 32, and MIDI out from Digitone to Microcosm. Okay, I'm assuming you're about the setup and reconstruction. So exactly, the Digi out from the DIGITAKT is going into the Digitone, and then we have the MIDI out of the Digitone going into the Microcosm here, and then we have the MIDI through is going to the MOOG Mother 32 here. And yeah, this way I can send MIDI notes to the Digitone and to the, or basically it's sending pattern changes, not MIDI notes, to the Digitone, but then also via the MIDI through, I can from the DIGITAKT send the MIDI notes to the Mother 32, and it works pretty great. And yeah, that's the simple MIDI setup. I just bought myself, it will hopefully come this week, I bought myself a MIDI splitter, but not like in the way that you have basically one device sending multiple or MIDI to multiple devices, more in the other way around, that I can send MIDI from multiple devices into one device. Because what I want to do is in the future, I want to get more into Ableton again and build myself kind of like a hybrid setup that I can then use for for all the studio stuff that I do. And there I want to be possible without changing cables all the time to switch from, I want to send MIDI notes to the Mother 32 from the DIGITAKT and directly from Ableton Live. So for that I was looking for a solution, and I hope I found it in a kind of like reverse MIDI splitter. It's called different, actually, not MIDI splitter, but MIDI. I forgot it. You can share the link if someone is interested. But yeah, I will try it out, and if it works, I will definitely maybe do a rundown on how then everything is set up. Because my goal right now is to work on, like I said, a setup where I have a DAWless work stream like I have here that I can just use without any computers, and to have everything also hooked up to Ableton Live, to be ready to just run my music in Ableton, maybe also to sequence some of the tracks on the DIGITAKT or the Digitone directly in Ableton. I have also a push 2, which I'm currently not using, but I might bring it back to the table. Yeah, I will be using some time to find a good solution for that, but already looking forward, because recently I've been getting back into the DAW a little bit, and I have to say I quite enjoy it. I mean, DAWless is great and it's awesome for being creative, but sometimes you want to be more flexible in the way you record stuff and in the way you produce stuff. And also for me it was important to be more flexible in terms when I cooperate with other producers, which I recently started. Shout out to Ed, and it was great fun, or is great fun, and that's something I definitely want to explore more in the future. Thank you so much. Just downloaded firmware for DIGITAKT. As I understand it, Digitone does not need to be updated to work in pairs. Good question. I haven't tried it. I would still recommend it because I tested it now. The firmware is running stable on the Digitone, stable, so you don't have any downside from not doing it. So if you want to try that, yeah, definitely worth it. And yeah, I'm not sure if it will work, because sometimes there are hiccups. I also read that with the new song mode, if you're not updated over bridge, it will also cause issues, because there are then also some downsides happening basically, and you might run into some issues. So I always try to keep my firmwares on all machines up to date, and that way, yeah, I assume you run into the least issues, at least when the firmware is running correctly. Guillaume writes, great music. Thank you. Gary Hawkins, that makes sense. Thank you. You're very welcome, Gary. Glad that I could help out. Guillaume writes, not great fan on song mode. Yeah, I see that, and I feel that also. Like, I mean, it's yeah, it's a, for me, yeah, like I said, there are great things, but also things I miss, like with the mutes and stuff. And I also see that song mode was probably made for a different target group than me, who's probably just programming everything via patterns, which worked fine for me, but I'm pretty sure I will still be using song mode in the future, but it hasn't been like the most requested feature from my end. That, by the way, is being able to use the ARP on MIDI tracks. That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. That's like, that would make the Digitone complete for me. Solong Youth writes, thanks to you. Sergio, MIDI merge. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, MIDI merge was the one that I was looking for. Yeah, MIDI merge is actually the thing that I bought myself to get everything in place and to have everything running smoothly. Ihor's here. Hey Miles. Hey man, good to see you. Great that you're here. I have to give Ihor a shout out, because he's not only an amazing music producer, but also just a really nice guy and a fantastic teacher. I've learned a ton from your videos. I'm a big fan of the things that you produce, and just your way of teaching and the way of working and showcasing everything. So yeah, keep going, my friend. Big shout outs to you and appreciate your time being here. And yeah, speak very, very soon. Thanks, we'll update everything. Yeah, I think that makes sense to update everything once you have done it. Gary writes, Ihor, your channel is excellent too. Like I said, I can just back that up. That progress bar on the top of the screen of the song mode is a killer feature. That actually really is, and that's super cool because that was something actually in pattern mode I was missing. By the way, is it something that is in pattern mode? I'm just trying it out now. No, it isn't there. Would be lovely to have that actually, or to decide if you want to see the title of your pattern or only basically the progression bar. I agree with you, Ihor. I would go with the progression bar, which is great to know, because I have different pattern length. This one here is, I think, yeah, this is 128. Oh no, this is actually only 64, but I have a lot of patterns that are 128, and I always mix up which ones are which. But yeah, would be great to have that also in normal pattern mode. But I agree, that's definitely a great feature. Ihor and Miles, hooray! Yeah, thank you, man. Shout out again to Ihor. Thank you for the stream. ARTURIA, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in and wishing you, wherever you are, a lovely day. Thanks, my friend, for the kind words. Yeah, everything said. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your time. Ihor and Miles are the boss. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'd keep the progress bar in the pattern mode too, but unfortunately it works only in song mode. Yeah, exactly what I just tried out. Yeah. Would be great to have that actually, a feature, maybe update. I mean, I always have the feeling that Elektron, they're very good at maintaining the software of their devices, especially right now where they have kind of like, how they call it, the holy trinity of the Digi devices with the DIGITAKT, Digitone, and now the SYNTAKT. I think they will keep updating the firmware. And I mean, I have honestly to say, yeah, I might sound like a Elektron fanboy, but actually what I really appreciate about them is how long they are updating their products. I mean, the life cycle of the DIGITAKT, it has been out for such a long time already, and it still receives massive upgrades like this one here. And I think that also shows that Elektron is really trying to push their products to the limits from a software perspective. And I think that's a great sign for users, because you can be sure when you get a product that you will benefit from it for a long time, and you can expect more things being added to the product once the life cycle continues, which I think is great. I mean, you need to imagine before or when I got to the DIGITAKT, just the compressor was more on the newer side of features and didn't have these external mixer options. It didn't have the inputs, so you couldn't use inputs on the DIGITAKT. It was just for sampling, not for routing sounds into it, which is crazy. Now I use it all the time, because then on all inputs I can use the compressor, which is just great. And having two filters now is amazing. Having two LFOs is great. So yeah, it's really that they try to take good care of their products and update them with new stuff. And now I will stop, because I already sound like a salesperson from Elektron. So stopping here, getting back to the chat. Just a disclaimer for people who haven't updated yet. Fill mode doesn't latch anymore. Should be fixed soon. Oh, I haven't tried that. But yeah, okay. I'm using fill mode not in a way that it latches. Actually, forgot the shortcut. So long youth. Do you know what the shortcut was again for latching it? No, that's not it. I mean, if it doesn't work anyway. But for me, it was important that fill mode works once I press down the page button. And you can see here it works because I have the fill mode, the kick on reverse fill. So whenever I hold it, the kick is just always muted. Just the way how I work with this stuff. Ihor writes, agree with you, Miles. The previous update 130 was like a bomb with that external mixer feature. LFOs, etc. opened up the DIGITAKT quite a bit. Now 1/4 the song mode and scales. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, I didn't really try the scales feature out yet. I think I need to. Yeah, I need to get into that in a little bit more of a quiet environment. Not right now during a live stream, but yeah, I read a lot of good stuff about that, and I think it's also a very, very big update. And yeah, like I said, cool to see that that the stuff is still coming to all the diggies and not only the most recent ones, like the SYNTAKT, for example. Frank, hey, good to see you. Yeah, unfortunately, the stream is nearly at the end, or at least I already thought that kind of like 15-20 minutes ago, when a lot of people popped up in the chat and we just talked a little bit. So yeah, enjoy the hangout while you're here, and yeah, if you want anything to know, or if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. I think it works normally on my SYNTAKT though. I have no idea how to switch it on though. Okay, page plus yes. Let's give that a try, should we? Page, yes. I mean, if that's the shortcut, it isn't working. Maybe you're right, and it's due to the song mode. No, not really. Totally forgot which shortcut that was, because I'm not using it. Weird. But yeah, if it's page plus yes, then you're right. It's not working. No matter if you are in song mode, which I'm currently not, but now entering song mode in here, it's also not working. So maybe yeah, it's just some yeah, something that needs to be updated. Maybe it works on the SYNTAKT, not on the DIGITAKT. Good thing to drop Elektron a note about. Human program. Hi all, looks like I'm coming in at the end too. Looking forward to catching up with this. Yeah, that's actually a good point, because by the way, I don't know if you hear that. My wife outside is fighting with our dog. A lot of barking going on. Apologize for the background noise. Hope both are fine after this fight. Yeah, quick note that the stream actually will remain on the channel. So if you want to rewatch it, you can definitely do it and find the full-length stream up there and running. So yeah, I think maybe then here we can bring this to an end. If you don't have any further questions, if you have, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to get in touch with you lovely people, to yeah, answer questions that you have, or see you in the next video. Really appreciate it. One final note again on the thing of creativity and anxiety and stuff like that. Yeah, keep in mind that you're not alone, and yeah, all creators that are struggling, wishing you all the best, and I'm pretty sure you'll find a good way in dealing with the whole social media struggle. Yeah, till then, that was great fun. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. We had a lot of people coming in. I can always see it here in the stats, which is absolutely great. And yeah, have a great day. Have a great evening wherever you are. And yeah, big shout out to all of you. You guys are great. And yeah, keep it up. Keep creative. Keep being creative. And I'll definitely see you in the next video, which will be out very soon. Peace. And oh, by the way, I'm so bad at promoting my music, but I have a new EP coming out 21st of October. It's called Home. Didn't even remember the title. And that dog totally like confuses me. But yeah, I have a new EP, 21st of October. You can pre-save it. The links are everywhere in my bio. Have a great night. Have a great day. Stream it. Much love to all of you. You guys are great. See you very soon. Bye.